Some days, folks, I feel like Charlton Heston from The Amiga Man, if you've never seen that film, and if it sounds a tad familiar, Will Smith remade that some years after. He's the last man on earth. I'm going to Charlton Heston here, by the way. He's got a vial in his hand. In my case, the vial is full of anti-woke serum because I am fighting truth, justice, and the American way against the woke mob out there. They are awful. They are changing the course of entertainment as we know it and as we love it. And I implore you today, if you're watching this video, if you feel you want to take up that cause, then please subscribe, like, and share this video wherever you can, because boy, oh boy, this woke narrative nonsense has to stop, and even Steven Spielberg, it seems he's been consumed by a body snatcher, and he too just has one of the weirdest takes in Hollywood right now. So, Steven Spielberg has a brand new film out. What film was that, Jace? Well, it's West Side Story. Wasn't that made in 1961 by Bob Wise? Yes, you're right, it was, and it won Oscars, I believe. But Steven Spielberg, his next passionate project is to remake that classic film, but inject a few little politics here, there, and everywhere because the man can't help himself. He's been consumed by the woke agenda that is going on in Hollywood and in entertainment in general. So West Side Story stumbled into the box office last weekend with a measly $10.5 million on a musical that cost $100 million to make. How does a musical cost that much money? I don't get it. I mean, you could have made the film for half that money, but honestly, I don't know what to think anymore. Spielberg, when you mention that name, you think of Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Indiana Jones trilogy, yes, I actually said that, Saving Private Ryan, and Ready Player One, which while most people didn't like that last film, I really enjoyed it. I thought Spielberg still has that magic, that Midas touch. He was a geek, he was like one of us. Then he made Kate Capshaw in 1984 on A Temple of Doom, my least favourite Indiana Jones film. So did she have anything in turning his head around when he decided to make this film? Like, what I'm saying is, if there's an over-dominating female sat quietly who wants to change the course of history and maybe your course altering things, then they might be slightly responsible. Could be a Black Widow in the making. So let's just go on over to why this film actually bombed. Now, here are two of the stars of the movie, and I've got to say the madam on the right, and I'm going to call her a madam because she looks spoilt, prim and proper in that pose. Also, she seems to be an ambassador for starving third world countries because this girl needs to eat a lot. She's Rachel Ziegler. She is going to be your new Snow White in 2023 for Disney. I kid you not, a live action version. So laugh at that you may. No. And also, she's going to be next year's Shazam 2. I love Zachary Levi. I just don't know how I'm going to be able to sit through that film and see her dumbass face on the screen. It's just going to drive me nuts. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But further on down, let us talk about this ill-fated interview Spielberg had with IGN. IGN, I do moan and groan at these days. When they started out, they were the cornerstone for me to go to look to for information about video games, all that good stuff. Then they kind of branched out into films and TV reviews. Now eventually it seems they want to interview anybody just to get clicks, traffic to their website. And when it comes to Steven Spielberg, well, IGN seized that opportunity. And here's what Spielberg actually said. So, while he's being interviewed by IGN, he derided Hispanic people by using the racial slur Latinx multiple times while promoting the film. He also said this same phrase with another outlet, but let's just concentrate on the IGN here because boy, those guys just have such a bad take. I didn't want to subtitle any of the Spanish out of respect for the inclusivity of our intentions to hire a totally Latina X to play the sharp boys and girls, he explained. Spielberg continued, that was a mandate, there's that stupid goddamn word again, that I put down to Cindy Tolan, who cast the movie, that I am not going to entertain any auditions of anybody who isn't parents or grandparents or themselves from Latinx countries, especially Puerto Rico. I know Rosie Perez had something to say about that particular take this week, but honestly, I'm a non-Spanish speaking person. I decided I want to go and watch West Side Story from Steven Spielberg because I think he's an all-time great director, or used to be. And then I'll be sat there for maybe 15 minutes, maybe more. I've not seen the film, I have no intention of watching it, wondering what these Hispanic people, authentic Spanish people the authentic Latinx people are saying on the big screen. They could be cursing for all I know, but it'll just fly right over my head.
What? Shut the fuck up!
When I watch a foreign film, I generally have the subtitles on, but then sometimes I want the dubbed English version just to see what emotions and nuances I'm missing out. Case in point, Cowboy Bebop, the animated version, I always watch with the English dubs because for me, it is probably one of the best, maybe the best anime dub I have seen. So Spielberg, I don't know what this guy thinks he's doing by trying to get down with the kids by being Latinx. Latinx, 40% of Hispanic people do find that a very offensive term. So why Spielberg tries to embrace and embellish that, I don't actually understand. Further on down at the premiere for their West Side Story, Bob Iger, former chairman at Disney, the guy who kind of worked hand in hand with Kevin Feige for a while. He's here posing with Spielberg on the red carpet because I guess Bob has nothing better else to do these days. So that was kind of one of the perks of his job. He's kind of like managing Disney and Marvel, but then when he had the chance, he would go out and rub shoulders on the red carpet with his favorites showbiz chums who have no idea who he is, so whatever. So Spielberg, I don't know what you're doing there, mate. It just seems to be, oh God, Rachel Ziegler. If I see her smiley face one more time, I'm going to go nuts. But let's just go over quickly to this review from The New Yorker. It's an article by Richard Brody. And of course, Ansel Elgort, the lead actor here. You know him as the getaway driver from Baby Driver from 2017, I think it was, with Edgar Wright behind the director's wheel. And yeah, what's interesting about Mr. Elgort, he is kind of being Me Too'd at the moment from serious allegations. And since this film's kind of tanked at the box office, those allegations have surfaced again. So I've got to question Spielberg's judgment when he's casting somebody like this who may have that hanging over him still. So another misfire from him. Again, another misfire for casting Miss Emaciated Actress right here, which is ridiculous. But this paragraph I've highlighted from Richard, I'm just going to read this out to you. So, like the first film, and by the way, Richard said that this film is an even worse remake than the original, so go figure, right? So, like the first film, Spielberg's is set around 1960 because Spielberg couldn't be bothered to update it to a modern day setting. He wanted to make it anachronistic, so, taking today's ideology and sticking it in a faraway decade that... Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to course correct that on film. It makes no sense to me. In San Juan Hill and Lincoln Square, at the time when much of the area was being demolished, a swooping opening shot in the remake shows a rubble-strewn landscape dominated by a billboard announcing slum clearance to make way for a gleaming new complex called Lincoln Center. The ethnic tensions between the neighbors, white and Puerto Rican residents, are rooted in a battle over their shrinking terrain. Whereas once the area was sufficient for both sides, there's now only room for one, because like the Highlander, there can only be one. There's no hint of the fact that San Juan Hill was in fact a predominantly black neighborhood. Oh dear, right, we're going for selective casting here now, right. The filmmakers' attempt to pin down a cause for the Jet-Shark rivalry reflects their more general shift in the new film towards facile psychologizing. The original, directed by Robert Wise, the Jets are more than just defenders of the white interests. They are full-service bullies who harass white kids. For all of its faults, the original film doesn't nationalize or rationalize aggression or racism away or reduce its characters to single motives. So that is it, folks. This could be the best days of Spielberg behind him. Clearly, from the sound of it, no one's going to go and watch this. I wasn't at all excited for it. Now, folks, before I sign off today, what is your favorite musical? Now, musicals aren't really they're kind of a niche genre for me, but there are some ones that do stand out. So, for example, I would say Tommy by The Who, because The Who rock. Then you got the Little Shop of Horrors with Rick Moranis. Then you got the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Tim Curry and the sexy Susan Sarandon. Then we get to the almost alpha of the bunch, the Blues Brothers, 1979. John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, directed by John Landis. That's an awesome, awesome musical. But when it comes to awesome and downright sexy, Grease, 1978, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, or as we called her back then, Olivia Neutron Bomb. All I gotta say is, when you see her in that outfit in the third act, yep, all bets are off.
Sandy? Tell me about it, stud.
So on that one, folks, if you enjoyed this little video today, don't forget, give it a like, subscribe, tell your friend about me, and maybe even the pizza delivery man as well.